Hello, we are The Gays, and you are welcome to the News Digest. Today in the episode, two men in Russia, once unreachable, now hit by Ukraine. Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine. What they change, and will Trump allow them for Ukraine? Deep strike Ukrainian style. Expo of the domestic long-range weapons in Kyiv. On October 5th, several explosions rocked Belgorod, Russia, causing power outages. Belgorod authorities were even forced to turn off outdoor lighting in order to at least partially restore the city's power supply. Earlier, Belgorod Region Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov stated that the power outages in the city were caused by a Ukrainian armed forces strike on an infrastructure facility. Gladkov also urged residents of private homes to purchase generators in case of a power outage. Smart move, Comrade Gladkov. We in Ukraine know that. Also, local authorities have begun installing industrial generators on the streets of Belgorod, maybe expecting new incomings. The Russian Ministry of Defense announced the destruction of 12 drones over Belgorod region. At 9:31 p.m., Gladkov also announced that a missile alert issued for the Belgorod region. Ukrainian long-range drones appear to have set a new record, striking an oil refinery in Russia's Tyumen region after covering an immense distance, according to the Ukrainian outlet Defense Express. The target was located approximately 2,000 kilometers from the current front line. An oil refinery in Tyumen, Russia, was attacked by drones on October 6th. Video was circulating online, showing the motorcade of fire engines. Also, local residents reported 2 explosions. Representatives of the local authorities, however, seen nothing and heard nothing, as usual. I quote, "3 UAVs have been neutralized on the territory of the enterprise. Swift actions of emergency services prevented the detonation of drones. There are no victims, no explosions or fires allowed. All enterprises in this area are working as usual and have not stopped their work," they assure. More gifts arrived during the night of October 7th, a date internationally recognized as the birthday of dictator Vladimir Putin. Explosions were reported in several Russian regions. Meanwhile, Russia's Ministry of Defense claimed that its air defenses allegedly destroyed 184 drones. No explosion, no victims, no fires, no war, no problem. Sounds like just about any local authorities report to the Kremlin, while the reality is different. Precise hits at distances over 2,000 kilometers. More and more Russian refineries burn, squeezing Russian Tsar's war chest capacity. And that is also thanks to American intel. U.S. President Donald Trump said he has almost made up his mind on whether to supply long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine, but added he wants to know precisely how Kiev intends to use them. Speaking to reporters in Washington on Monday, October 6th, Trump said his decision is largely finalized, but depends on additional clarifications from the Ukrainian side. "I think I want to know what they're going to do with them, where they're going to send them." Trump said, according to Reuters, "I'd ask certain questions. I'm not looking to escalate this war." When asked whether the U.S. would supply the missiles directly to Ukraine or sell them to NATO allies for later transfer, Trump said, "I've almost made the decision, largely."
Yeah, I've sort of made a decision, pretty much. If you consider, I think I want to find out what they're doing with them.
Yes.
Where are they sending them? I guess I'd have to ask that question.
According to The Telegraph, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky privately appealed to Trump during a meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, requesting the delivery of Tomahawks with a range of 1,250 to 2,500 kilometers. Zelensky reportedly argued that such weapons could help convince Russian President Vladimir Putin to come to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reported on October 1st that the U.S. had already approved the sharing of intelligence with Ukraine to enable strikes on Russian energy infrastructure targets located deep within Russian territory, part of Washington's broader debate over whether to supply longer-range weapons. However, according to Reuters sources, a potential transfer of Tomahawk missiles remains unlikely, as the current U.S. stockpile is primarily reserved for the U.S. Navy and other strategic needs. More feasible options include shorter-range systems, such as the ATACMS missiles delivered to Ukraine in 2024, which can strike targets up to 300 kilometers away. With Ukraine once again on favorable terms with the Trump administration, there is growing speculation that the embattled nation could soon receive Tomahawk cruise missiles, a development Moscow is working hard to prevent. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Russian President Vladimir Putin is attempting to dissuade Washington from transferring Tomahawks to Ukraine by taunting the prospect of improved U.S. policy. Russia relations to American concessions over the war. Putin warned that supplying such long-range missiles to Kyiv would damage U.S.-Russian relations and undermine what he described as a positive trend in bilateral ties. Ukraine has increased its defense industry capacity tenfold. This includes drones, missiles, and artillery. And now the time has come to launch exports of those weapons that are in surplus. By the end of the year, Ukraine will open platforms for arms exports to the EU, the US, and the Middle East. Profits from arms exports will help finance the country's defense deficit. Learn more in the report.
Since the start of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine has been able to turn its military-industrial complex into a powerful and flexible system capable not only of adapting, but also of increasing production rates. Despite shelling, logistics, and funding problems, new enterprises are launching in the country, and existing ones are constantly being modernized. As Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized, currently on the front, almost 40% of weapons are products created in Ukraine, and by the end of the year, the task is set to increase this indicator to 50%. Ukraine has been able to quickly and efficiently establish artillery production. This year, almost 2.5 million mortar and artillery munitions of various calibers were supplied to the front. Production of the renowned Bogdana self-propelled artillery units has been increased to 40 per month. As for drones, Ukraine has no equals in their production and use.
Ukrainian strike drones, there are a lot of them. Luty, Firepoint, Shark, Bober, and others. They work, and they work very successfully. You see how we do it. Ukrainians supply the front with the necessary types of drones, and these are colossal production volumes and colossal supply volumes, from conventional FPV drones to ground robotic complexes.
Moreover, Ukraine has proven its ability to develop modern missile systems. These played a key role in destroying several Russian military ships, including the Black Sea Fleet's flagship, the missile cruiser Moskva. Now, Kyiv is moving toward the next strategic phase, developing effective ballistic missiles. Volodymyr Zelensky stressed that the cost of the war for the Kremlin must become unacceptable.
We have repeatedly used Neptunes, our cruise missiles, with success. There will come a time when we can effectively use our ballistic missiles as well. This is one of the key tasks for the state, all enterprises, and those responsible for Ukraine's missile program. Our own effective ballistics is one of the guarantees of security.
Citing its sources, The Economist reports that Ukraine has already begun using Flamingo cruise missiles, which can fly just 50 meters above the ground. These missiles have a range exceeding 3,000 kilometers and possess immense destructive power due to a 1,150-kilogram warhead. Experts note that if Flamingo can penetrate Russian air defenses, it will elevate Ukraine's deep strike campaign to a new level of destructive capability.
Ukraine plans to scale up production of its long-range FP-5 Flamingo missiles, which have likely already been used to strike Russia. Currently, 2 to 3 missiles are produced daily, with plans to increase this to 7 per day by the end of the month. Each Flamingo missile costs around $500,000. For comparison, the American Tomahawk missile is approximately 4 times more expensive, yet it has a shorter range and carries a significantly smaller payload, from a publication by The Economist.
Ukraine's defense industry has also demonstrated to the world its ability to produce entirely new types of weapons. For example, the Palianitsia drone combines the speed of a missile with the precision of a strike UAV. Its turbojet engine enables it to travel hundreds of kilometers at high speed, making it nearly invulnerable to air defenses. With its range and power, Palianitsia can strike airfields and depots deep in enemy territory.
Let's be clear, missile drones like Palianitsia are also cruise missiles. Very simple cruise missiles built on, let's say, the most basic technological foundation. And yet it's about quantity, efficiency, and quality.
In 2026, Ukraine's potential in drone and missile production is projected to reach $35 billion. This was stated by Volodymyr Zelensky at the International Defense Industries Forum. He also tasked the government with developing key elements of a weapons export program, currently codenamed Zabroya.
Agreements have already been reached to establish export-import platforms in Europe, the United States, and the Middle East. The task is to launch these key platforms by the end of the year. We expect that opening exports, establishing new joint ventures, and attracting investments to Ukraine will allow us to significantly scale our defense industry.
These steps will enhance both the quality and combat capabilities of the products. It is evident that Ukraine's defense industry is not just a factor in resistance. It is becoming a strategic tool for strengthening national security. Reported by Irina Yusupova, UATV News.
That's all for today. Please subscribe to The Gaze to stay tuned to what's happening in the world. Brought to you by us from a Ukrainian perspective. Goodbye.